On today's workshop, we're going to talk about why you don't need to stock all these different cameras from all these different manufacturers. We have a product from Echomaster that really is one camera to rule them all. What's going on, guys? Matthew Palumbo from Stinger. I'm the Director of National Audio Sales here, and today we're talking about Echomaster, the PhD 5-in-1. And you know, one of the big problems with rear view cameras and all the cameras that most of you carry is that you have to stock so many different models. You know, I was in retail for many, many years, and it was always a challenge that we had is we have to stock all these different camera models to make sure that we have the camera for the right application. And wouldn't you know it, every time that you need that angle mount, you don't have it, or you need the camera that works for front view, but you've only got rear view in stock, so on and so forth. And that's really what the PhD 5-in-1 is all about, is having one camera in stock that you can do virtually everything with. So the coolest part about the PhD 5-in-1 is the fact that it comes with all of these different brackets. So we have basically 5 different ways to mount this camera. We have a flush mount like this, which is going to allow us to either do a standard flush mount or a rotatable or adjustable flush mount. We also have a rubber or angle mount. This is going to allow us to do side view applications or even front or rear view applications when you just need something a little bit more flexible, a little bit more universal. We have a license plate bracket style mount. Now this one is going to utilize the square mount camera. So the finished assembly will look something like this. Then we have our standard square mount as well. So this is going to come with a bracket that allows this to tilt up and down on it. And then we can either use the double side tape that's included, or we can use the included stainless steel screws to mount this assembly. And last but not least, we have an angle mount. So these look really nice when they're done. This kind of looks the most OEM in my opinion. If this is back maybe kind of above a license plate, you can see that angle a little bit better there. And this is going to give you a nice factory fit and finish. So first we're going to assemble the angle mount. So when we take the angle mount itself and we have our camera, the first thing that you're going to notice is that these cameras are marked for the top. So you're going to want to make sure that little white mark is towards the top of your application. The other thing you may notice when you're looking at these housings is that they do have a little indicator cast into them as well. There's like a little arrow right there. Might be kind of hard to see on camera, but I think you get the idea. We're going to line up this white mark with that arrow. So when I put the camera in, we're just going to slide this in from the back. Should look something like this once it's assembled. And then this one's pretty simple. This just has a backing plate right here that's going to go over this to complete it. In order to do that, we do need to grab the entire cable itself here. The nice thing is this one's detachable. So we're going to slide the cable through, slide our bracket on like so, and now you've got the idea. Last, we're going to take our stainless steel screws that come in the kit, just like this. Drop these in. Okay, and these are just a small stainless Phillips, so we're going to attach those. And then there are 2 more up here at the top. So these ones kind of go in right up here at the top. There's some little grooves for them you can see. So I'm going to flip this one around, drop these screws in there. Oops. And attach those. And the last one. And there you have it. You've now got your angle mount fully assembled, ready to go into the vehicle. Again, we do include some mounting hardware for this as well. You'll see it, they all come with little bags of accessories. So if you want to just use the 3M double-sided adhesive that it comes with, you can. Otherwise, there are some different lengths of stainless steel screws in there that could be used as well. I would highly recommend using screws myself. But when you're all done, you should have a nice kind of OEM style camera that's ready to mount. Just like so, kind of right above the license plate, kind of right under that little lip above the license plate is the idea with this one. All right, the next mount we're going to take a look at is the small square mount. This is kind of a universal application. This one has a simple classic look to it. We've got the little white mark on the top of the camera here that does need to be lined up with the indicator on the camera housing. So there's a little mark right here that kind of shows what that up position is. So let's slide the camera into the assembly just like so. And then on the back side here, we have this nice little cover plate. This is going to do two things. One, it's going to help the camera to stay in the housing. Two, it's going to provide a way for our cable to exit and keep this nice and watertight. So when we go to assemble this, we do have a choice on where we want that cable to come out. I'm going to say it's going to exit to the side. So I'm going to have it exit this way. So I put my little housing on the back side there. And then we're going to grab some of our screws. Drop some of those into the four corners, and then we'll screw those in. Just get those attached. And the next two. All right, and then the last step is once we've got that rear panel attached on there, we're going to take our angle mount bracket, which is this little guy here, and we can slide this just on the back like so. The last piece of the puzzle there is our Allen head screw, which is going to thread in from the side. And when you take a look at this bracket, you do need to pay attention to one thing, and that is that one side of this bracket, this side here, has our threaded hole. So we want to make sure that our screw goes in from the other side so that it can catch those threads as it goes in. So let's put our camera on and we'll slide our screw in from the side. Just like so. And then the last thing is we're going to take a Allen head bit and go ahead and tighten this down. Just like so. Now we've got ourselves kind of a universal fit camera that can go anywhere we need it to go. This bracket adjusts easily, just like this. And again, just like all the mounts that come in this kit, this does have our 3M tape already attached, but it does also come with some stainless steel screws that can be used in these little side tabs there to give it a more firm mount. Now for the license plate style bracket, this one is kind of an extension of the last housing that we used because we are going to reuse it. So if you're going to do the license plate bracket, you're going to want to have it already mounted in the square housing. And you're going to want to make sure that the back side of this housing is running up and down with that little white mark either at the top or bottom of this, because for it to mount into this portion of the bracket, we need these screw holes to be there. So when you're looking at this bracket, you have some choices here. You can either have the bracket up towards the top of this, or we can flip this around and have it go towards the bottom, depending on which way you want to go. Let me move my hands here a little bit so you can get the idea. Like so. So if you're going to put this at the bottom of the license plate, you're going to want to use it this way. If it's going to go at the top of the license plate, it's going to go this way. All right, so let's say it's going to go at the top of the license plate. Again, on this one, you're going to want to make sure that when you look at this license plate bracket, it does have two sides to it. So one side of this has the threads. See if I can rotate this a little bit. There we go. And the other side of this does not. So make sure that your screw goes in from the right side. So I'm going to put my camera in like so. We're going to take this Allen head screw that it comes with in the kit, and we're going to just thread this through the assembly and tighten it down. Just like so. And once this is all done, all right, now we have a camera mounted to this license plate bracket. You can adjust the angle a little bit before you tighten it down all the way, but I think you get the idea. Just like so. And then you can have that cable exit behind the license plate, just like that. Now, to use the PhD 5-in-1 cam with the rubber mount, which is great for doing side view cameras, front cameras that are going to go down on a lower lip of a front valance, or even as a rear view camera, there is pretty easy assembly on this one. You're basically just going to slide the cable from the camera through the hole out the back side of this guy right there. But because it's rubber on a metal housed camera, it can be a little tricky to get in there. So my tip for you is to take a little bit of dish soap and just put a little tiny drop on the inside. And then, so I'm just putting a little drop on there. I'm going to take my finger and just kind of rub this around inside. And now take the end of the cable, slide this through. Okay, and now we're just going to push the camera in. It'll slide right in there, and it'll give you a little bit of wiggle room to adjust the camera. Now you can adjust the camera once it's mounted as well. It can be sometimes difficult to get the camera to go in perfectly straight. So with these cameras, we do also include a little tool that comes in quite handy. It's this little silver piece here, kind of looks like a bent paper clip. And on the camera itself, there are two little holes. They're kind of hard to see on camera, but they are right here on either side. You can actually put this little tool right into those holes. There's one, and there's the other. And now we can use this to actually turn the camera to get it straight and get it lined up. Remember that little white indicator you want to have right on top. So now that this is mounted in its housing, it's ready to go on the vehicle. In the hardware pack for this one, we've got double-sided adhesive, of course, and we also do have some nice matching black screws to go right into these holes so they sit down in there nice and flush, ready to go. For this last mount, this one's pretty cool. This is a flush mount. Again, pay attention to where the little indicators are. There is a tiny little triangle up at the top of this. That's going to show you where your top center is of the housing. And again, that needs to line up with the little white mark on the camera. So for this one, pretty simple. We're just going to slide the camera into the housing. Do pay attention, there's already a rubber grommet inside there. So we're going to slide the camera in, making sure to kind of line it up with that little indicator in there. There we go. And now we just need to finish our assembly on this. So turn the camera around to the back side, and we're going to slide everything over the cable. So take your kind of medium-sized collar ring, drop that onto the cable. Then we're going to have this silver retention clip. And that one's next. And finally, this last little collar that locks it all into place. So we're going to slide all of those down the cable. And first one is going to be this locking collar here. So we're going to screw this onto the assembly. Get that camera back in there. Okay. Screw this on. All right. Now we'll put our little silver clip on here. And last is the locking ring, which is going to lock that silver clip into place. So this one threads into the one that we previously put on. And there you have it. You have a fully assembled camera. So you're going to drill yourself a hole, snap this piece in. Of course, we have all the hole sizes and the directions on the packaging in the owner's manual and on the website, but I think you get the idea. Now we do also have an option to mount this. You'll notice this camera is firmly mounted in the housing, so it cannot be adjusted up or down. If you would prefer to mount it so that it can be adjusted, the camera will stick out a little bit further out of the housing, stick out a little bit further, but it will allow you to also tilt and move that camera. If you're going to do it that way, you're just going to replace one of those steps. You're going to replace the order and change to these two different little rings and adapters that go in there. And that's it. We've got ourselves a fully flush mounted PhD 5-in-1. Now, something else you might notice when you're assembling your PhD 5-in-1 is that these cameras are separated into 3 different pieces of wire. So the camera itself has some cabling permanently attached to it, fairly short, which is about perfect. You will also notice that there are a couple of tags on here. This one specifically is your selector for AHD versus CVBS. If you aren't sure what that means, AHD is going to be 720p quality. That's something that can be output to, say, a Stinger Horizon 10 or High 10 head unit. maybe even a few others out on the market. And CVBS is going to be your standard RCA resolution. Okay, so when we look at the next piece, we have the intermediate part. This is going to go behind the head unit or your screen. This is going to plug in with that same 5-pin connector, and this just has your standard RCA connector as well as your power and ground. We also have our loops here to select whether we want a mirrored image or straightforward, and whether we want our parking lines or not, and you're just going to cut those depending on what you'd prefer. And last is the body harness. This is a 20-foot body harness. The nice thing about this is not only do we have a separate harness, so if this harness ever fails, gets cut, gets damaged, it can be replaced, but we also have the ability to replace any one of the components should anything ever go bad. But really, it's pretty straightforward. Our camera is going to plug into this main harness here, and behind the head unit, we would have this little harness here. They all snap in, and you've got a completed assembly ready to go. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you learned something on today's workshop, and now you know why the Echomaster PhD 5-in-1 is truly one camera to rule them all. So if you want more information on this Echomaster product or any of the brands from Stinger, be sure to check out stingersolutions.com or echomaster.com for more info. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you on the next one.